Hey everyone, I'm Nurul Putri Utami. Now I will explain how global tourism can be more sustainable to combat the leisure and recreation final exam. One of the world's biggest economic activities, tourism driven wealth, employment, and regional development. Despite the result, the long-term sustainability of the industry faces important challenge in terms of making the growth model compatible with the quality of life of local communities, especially in the cities or major destinations. A recent UNWTO report on over-tourism in cities records the need for the sector to ensure sustainable policies and practices that minimize adverse effects of tourism on the use of natural resources, infrastructure, mobility, and congestion, as well as its social-cultural impact. Consequently, the tourist policy paradigm sought reform a growth-oriented model to an import focus on the quality of this growth and its compatibility with the quality of life of residents. And, and in recent decades, tourist policies have focused on attracting tourists and maximizing the positive impact of tourists in terms of employment and income, without emphasis on marketing and tourist promotion. Now, destination management has emerged as a policy topic, and more importantly, government and destination management organizations are as actively engaging in the priorities. On OECD report underlines how sustainable development of the sector depends on the ability of destination to promote adaptation to economic, social, political, and environmental trends, highlighting the emergence of integrated policies with the participation of the private sector and local communities in order to promote more inclusive growth. Making tourism more sustainable is a continuous process of making optional use of environmental resources, respecting host communities, and ensuring viable, long-term economic operation, providing fairly distributed benefit among tourist stakeholders. This is a complex activity with a number of economic, environmental, social, and political challenges which require adequate management and evidence-based public policy, and is from easy to monitor the impact of tourist effort by international organizations such as UNWTO, OECD, and Eurostat have led to significant progress, including the establishment of international standards and tools such as the tourist satellite icon, which help to understand the growing economic importance of tourists. However, monitoring efforts have focused mainly on economic aspects, leaving behind the social and environmental impact that, as we have seen, play a key role in the generation of sustainability-oriented tourist policies. Explaining how traditional tourism is thus day changing into what we call sustainable tourism. The definition of sustainability encompasses the environmental, the social, and the economic element of tourism. What it means is that tourism is economically viable and doesn't destroy the resources of which tourists will depend now on in the future, and notably the physical environment and the social fabric of the host community are influenced in the positive way. Sustainable is defined since many years and actually become a major topic for the United Nations when the World Commission of Environment and Development, the so-called Brundtland Commission, definite sustainability as follows: develop the ensure the need for the present are met without compressing the ability of future generations to meet their needs as we have our needs. So that is what sustainability is all about. That is what sustainability means in tourism. Because when more tourists come the destination, yes, it will increase the income for the local community and the local economies, but it will also mean an additional pressure and the system of the destination, the natural, the social, and the cultural resource. And that's what this all about. And that's in sustainability, the major issues for many destinations is no longer to bring more tourists to the destination, but they manage in a sustainable manner the tourists onto the highway. And that's where tourism management is changing on the traditional tourism and sustainable tourism are now slowly vertically becoming two different approaches that are needed to continue the destination to continue our tourists. As said, many praises on tourists and environment when we get the influx of tourists, more fresh weather needs, more electricity needs, where traffic, congestion, challenges, and pollution, change of culture and how sadly great and the crime or all factors that we need at others to make sure the business remains sustainable. There are big difference between the way we traditionally handle tourists and how we are going to handle sustainable tourists. And that's what it's all about. In the quote all that maybe people travel in larger group this day, people travel in family, friends, contract something, even single travel are being seen we focus in the all the and the said saying this day people want to have experience. They want to meet the local people, not only at the sake that want to make understand what is happening in the destination, and instead of being souvenirs, they want memories and knowledge to take home in their mental look. So pursuing it well in a destination are becoming less and less well more and more sustainable tourists. People know our visitor now bring it to give to the local community, and that's where the big difference is between traditional and sustainable tourists. Sustainable tourist development management guidelines and practices apply to all forms of tourists in all type of destination, including mass tourists and various special tourist segments. Sustainable tourism refer to the environmental, economic, and social cultural aspect of tourist development, and an appropriate balance must be established between these three dimensions to ensure its long-term sustainability. Thus, sustainable tourism should make optional as use of environmental research with our key element in tourist development, maintain important ecological process and help preserve natural heritage and biodiversity, respect the social culture authentic of the host community, preserve the cultural heritage and traditional flow with on them on their life, and they contribute to intercultural understanding and tolerance, ensure long-term viable economic operation, provide equitable distribution of the socio-economic benefit to all stakeholders, including stable employment and income-generating opportunities and social service for local communities, and contribute to poverty alleviation. Sustainable tourist development record in the environment participant all of relevant stakeholders as well as strong political leadership to ensure broad participation and consensus building. Achieve sustainable tourism is an ongoing process and requires constant monitoring of impact, including necessary preventive and or corrective action when necessary. Sustainable tourism also maintain a high level of tourist satisfaction and ensure a meaningful experience for tourists, ensures that awareness of sustainability issues and promote sustainable tourist practices among them. And then, as an example, I give is Bali. In Indonesia, Bali is included in a sustainable tourist project With the increasing number of visitors and managed tourists, many have a good impact on the economy but can also have a negative impact on the environment, such as the more visitors, the more traffic can become denser, the supply of clean water disparates, pollution, and something carbon in the cratered everywhere. I think that with this impact, we can make a sustainable tourist strategy that is appropriate and does not harm a party. And the last, so sustainable tourism is a form of tourism which meets the needs of the tourists and the tourist industry and the host communities today without compromising the ability for the future generation to also enjoy the destination, to also serve their need for holiday and for sustainable entertainment, sustainable enjoyment, and sustainable environment is which they can have their holiday. That tourist development, but in volume and direction of development, develop in such a way that pressure and the natural environment remains below the level of carrying capacity for both current and future generation. So I so thank you everyone. Maybe it's only the heart, and I hope you can provide knowledge to go. Thank you guys.